Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining. I'd like to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can share some wonderful thoughts and philosophies and lessons, learnings from chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita. In English, it's the Yoga of the Supreme Person, and in Sanskrit, it's the Purushottam Yoga. Very beautiful chapter. So we'll just talk through a summary of this chapter. So the ultimate purpose of Vedic knowledge is to detach oneself from the entanglement of this material world. Right? That's the essence of all Vedic knowledge, how to become detached from this world. And to understand the Supreme Lord, different people will have different Ishtadevs. Some have Krishna, some have Ram, some have Nrsimha. But there's only one God, and he can take many different forms. And God isn't just male, God is female as well. When we say Radha and Krishna, Radha is female, Krishna is male. But actually they're both part of the same Godhead. One who understands the Lord's, Krishna's supreme identity, surrenders onto him and engages in bhakti, which is the connecting link with the Supreme Lord, devotional service. Now, in this 15th chapter, Krishna gives a really amazing analogy to create this sense of detachment within us, and also to inspire us to look beyond this world. Because simply detachment from this world isn't enough. Okay, you were detached from this world, we're going to go somewhere, aren't you? So where do we go? This chapter defines that. You probably all seen Mr. Bean in action, right? Very funny comedian, and he has a very nice series. In one of those series, he books into a hotel room, and then he starts to take the wallpaper off and decorate the room and bring his own furniture and things like that. And it's really funny. We all have a good laugh at it. Because if we live in a hotel room, we're not going to, just 1 second. We're not going to decorate it. But we are in no different a position in this world, in one sense, because we're not living in any place permanently. We will be moving around because there's something called death. We've got no choice. So imagine somebody checks into the holiday hotel room, then begins to paint the walls, buy new furniture, refitting the bathroom and hanging up family pictures. Sounds ludicrous. You don't make arrangements for long-term comfort in a temporary residence. But that's what we're doing. This world is likened to a hotel room within which people make very complicated plans for security and enjoyment. It's ludicrous. In one sense, it's ludicrous because in the spiritual higher sense, it's ludicrous because we're not going to live in this world or even in this body for very long. So no point trying to imagine that we're going to live here forever. So the themes, there are 4 themes in this chapter. And it's one of the most amazing chapters. This material world is shown as a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. The second theme, Krishna gives a glimpse into his world, little idea. And third theme is Krishna explains to us how he maintains us at every single level. And the fourth is Krishna explains the different living entities and how we can connect with the Supreme. So with that, let's do the first 5 chapters, the 5 verses. And I was going to ask, maybe Hare Krishna, Shruti. Very nice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
As always.
First
You
5
are on
verses?
mute. Oh, no. We can't hear you.
No.
Oh,
we
can
can't hear
you hear
you.
me, Prabhuji? Hello? Hare Krishna.
Oh, can anybody hear Shruti?
Yes,
Yes, we can.
Oh, can anybody hear us?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah. Hang on. Let me just check
Prabhuji,
one
would
thing.
you like me to disconnect and connect back?
Can you hear us? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Am I audible to you?
Yes, now I can hear you. I think it must
Okay.
have been a problem on my side.
There are these things happen.
Yeah.
It happens time.
Okay, very good. And I was going to ask Hardika, would you like to recite the English?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Yeah.
Okay. So, very nice, Shruti. It's looking forward to this chapter. You've been teaching it, and
Prabhuji, we've been learning this chapter together for the past 3 weeks.
yeah,
3 weeks.
yeah, it's a fascinating chapter.
Plus 5 verses, Prabhuji?
Yes, first 5 verses, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Ath Panchadashodhyayah. Shri Bhagavanuvacha. Urdhvamulam Adha Shakham. Ashwatham Prahur Avyayam. Chandamsi yasya parnani. Yastam Veda Savedavit. Adhashchordhvam prasritastasya shakha. Guna pravriddha vishaya pravala. Adhascha mulani anusantatani. Karmanubandhini manushya loke.
Thank you, Shruti. Just you can let
Sorry.
Hardika read the English.
I apologize.
No, actually, it's a shame to stop you. You're so
No,
good.
I completely forgot that we have to read the English as well. And I was looking at the Devanagari text on my laptop, and then I just, in a flow, I went on.
Your flow is so good.
No, it's all the Lord's mercy. I apologize, Prabhuji. I'll wait.
No, not at all.
Okay. Okay. So shall I read both?
Yes.
Both the paragraphs, yeah?
Yeah.
So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches downwards, and those leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. The branches of this tree extend downwards and upwards, nourished by the tree modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society.
So if you see here, he's talking about the perverted reflection of this original tree, where the branches go downwards and upwards, and the roots go downwards, which and it's talking about the fruitive actions of material society. So we'll come to that a little bit later. Okay, Shruti.
Okay, Prabhuji. Narupam asyeha tathopalabhyate. Nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha. Ashwatham enam suvirudhamunam. असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन छित्त्वा ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यम् यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी.
The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial.
Yeah, brilliant. So we can see he's talking about this root, this tree, which is upside down, and it's very deep. The foundations are very deep, very, very deep. And we must cut this deep, strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment, and then find that place where we should be. Okay, Shruti.
Okay, Prabhuji. Nirman amoha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvair vimukta sukha dukha santye gacchantya mudhaah padam avyayam tat.
Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom.
Brilliant. Okay. So we can do a quick summary of these 5 verses. And just as a banyan tree has a reflection in water, I don't know if anybody's seen a banyan tree. These trees are huge. And there's one tree especially, it's got a world record. It's like 2 or 3 acres in size. Such a huge tree in Bharat, in South Bharat, I believe it is. So this banyan tree it's all over the place. The roots go up, down, branches are up, down, everywhere. So the banyan tree has a reflection in water. The spiritual world has its reflection, this material world. In the same way, just like if you look in the water, you'll see the reflection of the tree. So the real tree is the spiritual world. The reflection is this material world. While they may look similar from a distance, the spiritual world is where reality, substance, and true satisfaction is found. So in the reflection, we can't find anything, but in the real thing, we get everything. On the other hand, the reflected tree of the material world is complicated, intricate, completely topsy-turvy, since the roots are upwards and branches are downwards. Bird-like individuals frantically search for juicy fruits on the reflected tree, but the substance which brings satisfaction seems to be lacking. So we're running, we're jumping from one branch to another, trying to get satisfaction, trying to get fruits to enjoy, like monkeys jumping around, but we're never satisfied. So Krishna urges the reader to cut down this illusory tree with the weapon of detachment and end the futile endeavor for permanent fulfillment in this temporary fantasy world. So the lesson to take from this first theme is that we should consider this place to be simply a hotel rather than our home. And we're only going to be here temporarily. So we need to adjust to that concept that we're only going to be here for a short time. This is only an intermediate place before we go somewhere else. And where that somewhere else we want to go to, we need to find. And Krishna gives us very strong indications where to find it. And there's This diagram is a little complex, but it gives a little glimpse into what Krishna is describing. So this is like the eternal reality, the spiritual world, Radha and Krishna and their associates enjoying eternally in bliss, satisfaction, and in complete relationship with the Supreme Lord. This is the reflection, the perfected reflection. And we have here Lord Brahma. He's the secondary creator, of the Visarga. So the sort of higher parts of this tree are perhaps the heavenly planets, places where one can try to enjoy. This is Indra here, for example. And then we see, actually, let's go through this. This is quite interesting. The reflecting medium, original trees, spiritual world, material world is reflected on desire, on what the living entity wants. What we want, the Lord will fulfill that desire. If it's materially minded, materially related, then we end up in this world. The roots, they grow upwards, downwards. There are secondary roots on trees. There's roots going from across, sideways, every single way. And these roots are basically the attachments that we have, the aversions, the likes and the dislikes, the piety or the impious activities. So this is basically karma. The branches are the planetary systems. We go up and down. Sometimes we're in heaven, sometimes we're on earth, sometimes we're in hell, depending on our actions and our desires and our consciousness. And the lower parts of the branches are the humans or the animals. The upper parts are the demigods in heaven. The green leaves are like the Vedic hymns, which can give some relief, but not really. The Vedic hymns, they tend to keep you at the highest level. They'll take you is the heavens, but we need to go beyond that. The twigs, they're the sense objects. Try to enjoy. The tips of the twigs are the senses with which we try to enjoy the sense objects. The fruits are what we get out of our actions. And the living entities involvement, we hop from one place to another trying to enjoy as much as we can. So the lesson to learn is straightforward. We need to be thinking that this place is not our real home. And we need to find our real home and how we're going to get there. And this chapter is really amazing because Krishna gives so many, such fantastic philosophy. So let's look at the next, how many verses are there? It's up to 11. So who would like to read? Anybody would like to volunteer to read the next few verses in English?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Oh, very good. Okay. Not Malini.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji. May I continue?
Yes, please. Thank you.
6 to 11. Is that right?
6 to 11. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम.
That supreme abode of mine is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world.
So this is the glimpse in this spiritual world. It's not lit with lights. There's a self-illumination there. Okay, Shruti?
ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनः षष्ठानीन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति.
The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
शरीरं यद् अवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धानि वाशयात्.
The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another.
So this is where Krishna describes how the living entities reincarnate, moving from one body to another, depending on their conceptions of life. So we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Utkramantam sthitam.
This one.
I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay.
Shrotam. Okay. Shrotam chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam ghranam eva cha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate.
The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam विमूढानान् उपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषः.
The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this.
यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितम् यतन्तोऽप्यकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त्यचेतसः.
The enduring transcendentalists who are situated in self realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try.
Very good. Thank you so much. So let's have a quick look at the summary of this section. Krishna gives a glimpse of the spiritual world. He talks about how there's no need for electricity or heat, showing how its nature is perfect, complete, and fully satisfying to all. And once having gone there, one never returns to this world. So he's describing very briefly the qualities of the spiritual world. And then he's describing the living entity, how it travels in this world. Here in this material realm, an individual hops from tree to tree, acquiring various material bodies based on worldly desires. They cultivate throughout life. So as we're going through life, we will have different concepts, different desires to fulfill. We'll have develop a certain level of consciousness, and we'll be incurring karmic reactions, acts. We'll be doing different acts which will have their reaction. So those three factors, desires, consciousness, and karma, determine our next life. At the time of death, through the subtle workings of reincarnation, one receives a body which is tailor-made to facilitate such desires. So Krishna is the perfect tailor. We will get the perfect body to fulfill our desires or suffer or enjoy our karma. So man proposes and God disposes. Thus, different life situations are meant to teach us a simple lesson. We're looking for the right thing, happiness. We all want happiness. There's nobody who says, give me unhappiness. It just comes automatically anyway. But we're looking in the wrong place. So the lesson to take from this theme is that the spiritual world is our real home. That's our real destination. And let's see what Krishna says about the description of the spiritual world. Why is there no need for any light source? Because the planets are self-illuminous. Their shining effulgence is called the Brahma Jyoti. And this is, or the Brahman, we may know it as a Brahman. This effulgence comes from the planet of Krishna, Golok Vrindavan. And 1/4 of the spiritual sky is covered by this material world. And material world has only one self-luminous planet, the sun. That's why we need light and electricity in this world. Now, why is this information given to us? So that when we hear it, we become captivated by the spiritual world. And we want to develop this desire to attain the spiritual world. That's the whole idea. At the moment, our desires are based around this material world, but we want to dovetail our desires so that they are aimed at the spiritual world. Desire to transfer to a spiritual world and extricate from perverted reflection. If we're too attached to this world, we'll never be able to get away from this place, cut ourselves off from this tree. Importance of Paramamama. Paramamama is surrender. What is the only way to achieve that abode? By taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. The spiritual world is Paramamama, is full of 6 opulences. And there's lots of different references in the Vedic scriptures about the spiritual world. So this is something which is very important to understand. The other part in this bit where Krishna explains about the living entity and how it moves from one body to another, carrying with it the aromas of life. So the examples are here. If one is very attached to showing off one's body and being naked, then one's karma is like that we will want to show it off. Our consciousness is, I'm beautiful and I want to be everybody to admire me. And our desires are the same as well. So maybe in the next life, the Lord may arrange through material nature to give us a body of a tree. So that's going to perfectly fit our consciousness, our karma, and our desires. We can stay naked for thousands of years, no problem. Somebody likes to eat raw meat, maybe Krishna will facilitate that. The human body isn't meant to eat raw meat, but the tiger's body is. So they may get a tiger's body in the next life to continue with that conception of life. It's their desire. Krishna fulfills the desire. Somebody likes to sleep all the time. They go to work, they sleep, they come home, they go to sleep. They can't wake up in the morning. Perhaps in their next life, the Lord may facilitate that desire, that consciousness, and that karma by giving them a body of a bear. They sleep for 6 months a year. Somebody who's a pig eats anything, whether it's tasty or not tasty, whether it's nice or not nice, whether it's healthy or not healthy. Perhaps that concept of life is suitable more for a pig. And perhaps that's the next body. So we want to get out of this material world. We want to develop spiritual consciousness and do acts, which is acts of bhakti, and have desires which are connected to the spiritual realm so that we can get out of this material world. So let's look at the next section, which is, this is the smallest, one of the smallest chapters, only 20 verses. So we're going to do from 12 to 15 next. And who would like to read? Anybody like to volunteer to read the English translations?
I'll do it, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Kaushalya Maji. So, Shruti, you can, you can start.
Yes, up to
15.
15. Yes.
Yeah.
12 to 15. Okay, Prabhu. Yadadityagatam tejo jagadbhasayate kulam yachandram ase yachagno tattejo vidhi mamakam.
The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire are also from me.
Gama vishya cha bhutani dharayamyaham ojasa ushnami chaushadhi sarva somo bhutva rasatmakah.
I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables.
So here he's describing how he's providing the light, how he's providing the vegetables, our life source. So Krishna is describing himself here. Sorry. Okay. Number 14. Shruti, are you there?
Sorry, Prabhuji, something problem with my phone.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
Oh, this is that verse we were
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah. Classic verse.
Yes, indeed. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritah Pranapana Samayuktah Pachamyannam Chaturvidham.
I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff.
Classic verse. And we are thinking we are doing everything. But Krishna is saying, no, you're not doing anything. Even the food that you eat, I work hard and digest it for you while you're sleeping.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritirjnanam apahon matta smritirjnanam apohanancha vedaischa sarvaihi ahameva vedyo vedanta kridveda videva chaham.
I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness by all the Vedas. I am to be known in need. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
This is such an amazing section of verses where Krishna is describing how, even here, if you look, he's seated in everybody's heart. From him comes remembrance, knowledge, and also forgetfulness. Amazing verses, amazing verses. So let's do a quick summary of this. Oops. Okay. So one who is entangled within the reflected tree of material existence can develop his Krishna consciousness. That's what we want to develop, a consciousness of God. Because at the moment our consciousness is of Maya. By appreciating Krishna as our maintainer on all levels, right? He maintains our gross physical body by arranging fundamental resources that provide the energy of life, right? So he is the maintainer. There's 4 types of foods. that we eat, which can be swallowed, chewed, licked, or sucked. He talks about the 4 types of foods. And in the Ayurveda, it describes that the fire in the stomach digests all the food that's sent there. If the fire is not blazing there, there will be no hunger. And in the Upanishads, it also describes how Supreme Lord is situated as fire in the stomach, digests all kinds of foodstuffs. In the Vedanta Sutra, it describes the Lord is situated within the sound, body, air, and even within the stomach as digestive fire. So to digest, even digest our food, we need the Lord's energy as fire and life airs, outgoing and incoming. This is really incredible stuff. So we shouldn't think that we are the doers, we do everything. We are the cause of our glory, because Krishna does the most basic things for us. He also maintains our subtle capacities by facilitating knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. Even this forgetfulness is important, because sometimes we can be so concerned with our own issues. Sometimes it's good that he allows us to forget some of the crazy situations that we're in so that we can remember him. Finally, perhaps most importantly, Krishna maintains our spirituality by offering ways and means to achieve self-realization and escape the dangerous cycle of repeated birth and death. How he does that? Because he is situated within us as the Paramatma. And as Paramatma, he guides us, he protects us, so many things he does. So the lesson to take from this theme is Krishna is always our maintainer in every sense of the word. Even if our false ego thinks otherwise, we should not forget it's the Lord's mercy that anything is happening to us. Whether it's good or bad, even if bad things happens to us, it's the Lord's mercy. We accept it in that mood, in that light, because actually in this material world, there's no such thing as good. Everything is going to be, even if good things happen, actually that good thing is happening is going to keep us in this world. If it's bad things, sometimes bad things, we can help us detach from this world sometimes, if they don't destroy us, of course. But nothing can destroy us because Krishna is our protector. So if we always remember Krishna, whether it's in good times or in bad times, then we will always be under his shelter, his mentor. He'll be our maintainer no matter what. He is anyway, but at least we will realize it as well. So the final 6 verses we can go through. Anybody like to volunteer to read the final 6?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do it, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Manish. Okay, Shruti.
Okay, Prabhuji. Dravimau purushau loke ksharashchakshara eva cha kshara sarvani bhutani kutastho uchyate.
There are 2 classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible. And in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible.
Uttamah purushastvanyah paramatmetyudahritah yo lokatrayam avishya bibhartyavyaya ishwarah.
Besides these 2, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the 3 worlds and is maintaining them.
Yasmat ksharam atitoham aksharad api chottamah atosmi loke vede cha prathitah purushottamah.
Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Ved as that supreme person.
Yo mam evam asammudho janati purushottamam sasarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena bharata.
Whoever knows me as the supreme personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional services to me, O son of Bharat.
Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam maya nagha etad buddha buddhiman syat kritakrityascha bharata.
This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection.
Prabhuji, this is the last verse, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Prabhuji. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Purushottama Yogo Nama Panchadashodhyayah. Hare Krishna.
Jai, chapter 15, ki jai, Shruti ki jai. So good. Thank you so much.
Prabhu Sri Krishna ki jai.
Very, very nice. So good. So the final theme, let's have a look at this. And okay, where are you? Okay. So previously, Krishna had summarized the Bhagavad Gita in 4 verses in the chapter 10. Now again, he summarizes the teachings in 3 verses. This is the Lord's mercy on us. He's saying fallible living entities, Shara, have dropped into the tree of material existence due to independent desire to enjoy. So that's our situation. We are fallible when we've fallen into this material world. But we are different from the infallible living entities, Akshara, who never leave the spiritual realm due to their undeviated desire to be with the Lord. So we can also attain that undeviated desire to be with the Supreme Lord as well. We just have to cultivate that in the proper company and with the right scriptures and with the right meditation. Beyond both entities, so beyond the fallible and the infallible, is the Supreme Lord. Thus, in yet another passage, Krishna reinforces that the living entity never becomes God. It's important to understand this. Even liberated souls, those who are in the spiritual world, have their separate identity in the spiritual realm. Knowing Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one engages in bhakti. So the lesson to take from this one is that we can never become God. Purushottam is always Purushottam, and we are always his servant or das, always his servant, but the position of the servant is exalted. In this material world, the position of the servant is regarded to be derogatory, right? It's an inferior position. But in the spiritual world, actually, the servant can take a superior position. Why? Because the Lord, he also likes to serve his devotees, but his devotees will not let him serve them. They will always want to serve the Lord. So there's this transcendental competition that takes place between the Lord and the devotee. The Lord is trying to serve the devotee, but the devotee is saying, no, I will serve you, my Lord. That is my business. That is my job. And the Lord, he wants to serve. So in that competition, God actually can become subservient to his own devotees. And thus, the position of the servant is actually exalted in the spiritual realm. It's different from the material realm. Let me just see. Yeah. So this is really, really nice picture. Who is the knower of everything? One who knows Supreme Lord. This is text number 19. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without doubting. And if one knows that, then one engages in bhakti, devotional service. So this chapter has everything in it. It has the spiritual world. It has the material world, what we're living in, what it's like. It talks about the liberated souls, the infallible. It talks about the fallible souls like ourselves. It talks about the spiritual kingdom and what it's like, gives a hint of what it's like. It talks about how we shift from one body to another, taking our conceptions of life with us. And finally, Krishna describes how, well, two things. One describes his position as Purushottam, but then he describes how we can link with him through devotion, understanding that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this chapter is a phenomenal summary of the whole philosophy of God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. And at the moment, just a quick advertisement, we're learning this chapter verse by verse. Shruti is teaching, and we're on verse number 5 now, I think, next time.
Yes, probably next week, number 5.
Week is number 5.
Yeah,
So
we have done 4 so far.
That's right. And you teach it so nicely. Such a wonderful style you have. So I would recommend, if devotees are free on Wednesday nights, evenings at 7 o'clock, join us and take in this chapter. It's such an important chapter. A very, very nice chapter. Okay, any questions or any comments? Anything that's not clear, which we can assist to make a little bit more clearer? Or anything that you'd like to share that, from your experience in life?
Prabhuji, can I ask, maybe it's a very silly question, but
Not at all, not at all.
I mean, the spiritual world, what I understand is one-way tickets, like you don't come back once you reach there, right?
Yeah.
So where did we drop off in this material world from?
Excellent question. That's an age-long question. Why have we come here in the first place if the spiritual world is so good? So in the spiritual world, the Lord is worshipped. And sometimes the living entity, like ourselves, may have a desire, just a little thought, wonder what it's like to be worshipped. And the Lord, he knows what everybody's desires are. He will facilitate that desire to be fulfilled, but not in the spiritual world, because there he is the Supreme Lord. So he creates this world where we can, if we want, to forget him. It's possible. Unfortunately, it's possible to forget the Lord. He allows us to live in this world and try to lord over this world, try to become like a little God in this world, because we had that desire to be away from him and perhaps be the Supreme instead of him. So that is why we're here. Once we go back, we realize, that's why it's a one-way ticket, that I made a terrible error of judgment, and had a desire which I shouldn't have had. And the Lord fulfilled that desire, but I'll never have that desire again. If we look at the eternity of time, the amount of time we spend in this world may be very, very long, maybe billions of lifetimes, trillions of lifetimes. But in the eternity of time, if we look at the spiritual angle, even trillions of years is a very little bit of time according to the spiritual realm. So yes, we're living in this world and we may be here for a long time according to our calculations, but actually we'll be away from the spiritual world for a very short period of time. But we want to make that short period of time even shorter, because we want to try to connect with the Lord as soon as possible, as fast as possible, and as effectively as possible, so that we go back to that place where we actually belong. So in short, the answer is we had a desire to come here because we didn't really know what this place is like. Now we know what it's like. When we go back, we will not have a desire to be separated from the Lord again. Does that make sense, Monica?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. Very good question. Anyway, Hardika, anything you'd like to ask or say?
No, I was wondering if you were going to mention me, actually.
You know I always pick on you.
I know, you always do. You always mention me. You think of me. It's not picking on me, so it's fine. No, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay.
It's very interesting, and I really love the way Shruti reads it.
She's extraordinary.
It's really good. It's really, really good. I'd
That's
like to
very
learn.
kind of you to say. Thank you so much.
No,
That's very
no,
kind.
it's brilliant. It's very soothing, you know, to listen to you, and yeah, but you could feel connected, you know, with it when you read it. And I'd like to learn how to read actually like that.
Very
You
good.
can join us on Wednesdays if you are free,
You're
if you
free.
like.
Yeah.
I know I can't. I work Wednesday evenings. I have other
Right,
Zoom
right.
meetings, so that's why I can't do Wednesday evenings.
I can send you the recordings of the sessions.
Yeah.
And what we can do also, Shruti, I was thinking after we finish the 18th chapter,
Yes,
we can just go through the Sanskrit of all the words, all the chapters. You know, maybe it might take a few weeks.
Yeah.
From 1 to 18, we just go through the Sanskrit.
As a reading, Prabhuji?
Yeah, just reading.
Okay, so every Friday?
I was thinking we could do like a few sessions on a Friday.
Okay.
Because the recitation is amazing. It's good to record it so that, you know, devotees will have this. We can have it on YouTube, and it'll benefit the devotees. I think after 3 or 4 weeks, we'll finish chapter 18.
Yes, we did 15 today. So yes, 3 weeks, I believe.
3 weeks. I think
I'm
18
not sure how long the 16th and the 17th are. The 18th is long, of course.
18th is long. That'll take 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, that would take at least 2
couple of
weeks.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So about 5
16
to 4 weeks.
Yeah, 16 has got 24 verses.
Yeah. Yeah. 17 is the same, roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 17 has got 28. Yeah.
Because when you read the first two today, yeah, you just read one after the other.
Yeah.
I nearly forgot I was supposed to read it because it was so it was just so nice listening to you. And
I completely forgot because we have this pattern of Sanskrit English, and I don't know. I completely forgot that we were supposed to follow that pattern, and I went on and on.
No, I forgot as well. Actually, it was good. Thank you.
It was really good.
Thank you.
And actually, Shruti, you can just read those 2 verses again.
The first and the second, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Okay. Just a minute. I had scrolled down. Yeah. There I am. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Atha Panchadashodhyayah. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Urdhvamulam Adha Shakham. Ashwatham Prahur Avyayam. छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित् अधश्चोर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखा गुणप्रवृद्धा विषयप्रवालाः अधश्च मूलानि अनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके.
Absolutely amazing. Can never get tired of listening. So very good. Thank you very much. Anybody, and good, Hardika, thank you for that feedback, because I think you've just given us some, another few weeks where we can, like listen to the Bhagavad Gita, just a Sanskrit going through.
Yeah.
That'll be really good, I think. Anybody else, anything like to ask or share? Manish, are you okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's been wonderful.
Okay, no, thank you.
It's very inciting, and as you know, even Hardika mentioned, it's so nice to listen to Shruti the way she narrates it. It's really beautiful and very, very, you feel the peace and the bliss, I would say.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very, very good. I don't think I've heard any better citer than
Oh,
Shruti.
no, that's, I don't know what to say. Thank you, Prabhuji. It's all the Lord's blessing, that's all I can say.
Yeah, no, even the voice is so beautiful, very nice. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you so much.
And on this one, actually, it is something similar to what we've done today, but we actually have recently watched a program on Prime, which is on the history of Australia. And that starts, the history from Ice Age onwards. So during the Ice Age, the northern part of Australia was populated by humans. And then after the warm weather, some of the islands were formed. And then some groups of people got stuck on those islands. And one of the islands, there was a small group of people which were completely isolated by the rest of the world for 12,000 years. When the Europeans came and explored that area. And when they came and explored that area, they were so surprised because there was still, on that island, there was still small number of humans there still, even after 12,000 years. And I think the only number of tools they had was, I think, 26. So they had not developed so much, but they were so much healthier, so much happier. And they were so in, how we can say, gelled with the rest of the environment and the nature that they were really, really surprised. And that gives when I listened to this today, it just reminded me of that, that it's so true of what Gita says.
Exactly. And it's we need so little to survive. We just keep thinking about all the materialistic things, but those people were so happy, and they said that they worked so less and they spend so much time with the nature and with amongst themselves, and they were so happy.
Yeah, very true. The more we have, the less we have in many ways, because all these gadgets that we have, and we think the next gadget I buy, I need this because it'll make me very happy. As soon as we get it, we realize, actually, no, this isn't making me happy at all.
I think it's the education system, because we get taught, from when we're at school, one of the first things we're taught is, what do you want to do and what do you want to be when you grow up? Nobody says what's going to make you happy. What do you feel right? What do you feel connected with? What are you feeling, inside? Nobody kind of like says happiness is the most important thing. It's always like, oh, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a pilot. That's always the aspirations of everybody, isn't it? In school. So I completely believe it's the education system where from young age, we this is what's, you know, instilled in us, isn't it?
Instilled into your head, yeah, very true.
So I think we need to change the education system.
Yeah. No, it's very true. And we're very fortunate because actually we're starting the school programs again. We got our first one in Red Hill. And when we go to the school program, one of the things we talk about is how one tries to reduce our dependency on enjoying in this material world, you know, different items. And we try to say, look, try not to, you know, we make a lot of enemies in school. Don't watch the television.
Yeah.
Don't play Xbox. And you should hear the kids, ah! And the teachers and the parents, they absolutely love us, you know, because we trying to get them off things which they're hooked on.
Yeah, exactly.
But they do understand, actually. The kids, they always say, yes, you're right. Of course, they don't probably adhere to what we say, but at least they do agree in principle that, yes, TV is a waste of time.
Yeah.
It is a waste of time.
Yeah, I find the younger generation, they are more,
yes.
I've come across so many younger generation, like my cousin's kids, you know, who are at school or university, they are very, and my friends' kids as well, very environmentally conscious.
Yes.
So, and they're into recycling, and they want to do more things that are community orientated. They don't want to do just money orientated things. You know, they are, I've come across a lot more, but I think it's obviously our generation has kind of like said to them, there is more things than just being career focused or material focused, you know. So our generation's actually saying to them, look, you know, there is more to life than wanting more. There's more to life than wanting more. You know, if that makes sense.
It does.
So I think the more you keep doing, you know, what you're doing in schools, it's good. You know, the younger generations will learn and realize that they don't need to have much to live or to be happy. It's about what makes you happy, you know. And serving people, you know, serving people is happiness as well. So I think younger people are realizing that. Yeah.
It's a good thing to cultivate. I like your point. I like Monica's point that, you know, these people are so happy with so little. And it makes a lot. And I think there's a lot of surveys that have been made, you know, where people, they look at children in poor countries who have very little, and they find the level of happiness is far greater than those children who have so much.
Yeah.
So
totally. More respect as well, and more. There's the what's it called? Bhutan. Is it Bhutan? What's the It's Bhutan, isn't it? They weigh their happiness through. They weigh their wealth through happiness. They have a happiness scale. You know, rather than money. You know, their GDP is on happiness rather than material. That's really what it is, which is great. You know.
Good point. Nice one.
Yeah, probably we need to redefine what do we mean by being rich and being poor.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very, very true. Yeah, and we've got so much richness in our culture and traditions. You know, it's just, if we embrace it, and for the younger generation, embrace it. My goodness. And hopefully, you know, that's one of the things that we want to try to cultivate through the Sanatan Center, you know, in Coolston. Hopefully, let's see if we achieve it. But thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Manishji. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Surinder. Anything you'd like to add, Surinder?
Very nice, Krishna Katha Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
the blessings. Nitai Guru Haribo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Malini. Thank you, Nit Kaushalya. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Adhika. See you soon.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.